Last month, we made $3,268.32 off of our 5-acre homestead. Why am I telling you this? Well, before I tell you the most important part of generating income from your homestead, I want to tell you our why. Our motive for generating income from our homestead is not about hustle culture. In fact, it's the exact opposite. We're honestly not trying to become millionaires. Our ultimate goal is just to grow quality food for our family and to nurture the land that we've been blessed with and to take care of the animals to the best of our ability. But the reality is, homesteading is kind of expensive. We spent $3,159.80 last month to run our homestead, which is technically a profit of $109.32. But at this point in time, the goal is to not build an empire and to make a bunch of income. The goal is to maintain just the simple quality of life for our family with less reliance on outside income. For the last 7 years or so, we have run our homestead solely on my husband Tommy's off farm full-time jobs income. But at the beginning of this year, I decided that I wanted to make the homestead start to pay for itself without having to utilize some of my husband's outside income. And ultimately, what that would do is that if the farm can float itself, then that is going to allow him to work less off of the farm and ultimately spend more time with his family. I'm happy to say that 7 months into the year, we've been able to do exactly that. We have not spent one penny of his full-time income from our family budget on farm or homestead related expenses. Now, I'm going to tell you how we've done that, but just a little bit of a backstory. When we first got married, we both worked full-time. I think we maybe made $35,000 a year. Eventually, I stopped working when our second born was about 6 months old and became a full-time stay-at-home mom. Now, during this time, my husband Tommy was running a business that was still very, very much in its infancy and money was very tight. So I still had ways that I would generate income on the side to help cover things like our food and our mortgage, just to kind of take some of the pressure off of him while he was building his business. I did a lot of babysitting for other moms. I would pick up furniture off the side of the curb for free and then give it a makeover and sell it for profit. I also taught natural childbirth classes. And the more that I did this, the more that I saw the wisdom in having this kind of secondary or third or fourth strand of income. Because the reality for us was that we were a single income family and we were making a very, very modest income. So we did not have the ability to put away a lot into our savings as a emergency fund or a cushion. And if something were to happen and he couldn't work anymore, we'd be in a real bind as far as being able to continue to pay for things. So I really started to lean into these outside income streams just to kind of diversify our security in being able to pay for our family's needs. In 2015, we moved to our first farm and kind of continued this mentality. And it worked well because, again, we were still very, very modest income at the time, and we wanted to be homesteading and we wanted to be doing all of these things, but we didn't really have a lot of extra money to pour into infrastructure or upfront animal costs and feed and things like that. One of our very first side incomes was raising meat chickens. We had done a small batch for ourselves, and then we decided to start raising a few more for other people. And we learned really quickly that raising some meat chickens for other people was a good way to cover the cost of the meat chickens that we wanted to raise for ourselves. And now, 7 years later, we've kind of taken that idea and we've expanded it to multiple different areas of our homestead. And that leads me to the biggest tip for generating income from your homestead, and that is to diversify your income stream. One of the first books that I ever read by Joel Salatin was called You Can Farm. and it's a great book. I definitely recommend reading it. And in this book, he talks about how farms need to have some type of cornerstone, or you might call them centerpiece enterprises. This could be something like pastured poultry or raw milk herd shares or beef cattle. But no matter what your centralized enterprise is, you also need to have kind of secondary or complementary enterprises as well. You don't want to put all of your eggs in one basket. You want to have other things that will supplement that main income. Now, at this point in time, we have probably close to 20 different income streams on our farm. And some of them maybe only make us $100 to $200 a year, whereas others might make us $8,000 to $10,000 a year. But the point is, don't shy away from those $100 to $200 income streams, because when you end up having 5 or 6 or 10 of them, that's thousands of dollars a year. So this is just a quick list of what we currently have income generating from, and it changes by season, of course, but I'm going to put them into kind of 3 different categories. The first category is physical products. So there's a lot of obvious ones on here that you can do. We sell eggs. We still raise meat chickens for people. We have a small CSA that's both meat and vegetables, as well as other products from our farm. Raw milk is something that we're just starting to get into. I have also sold comfrey root cuttings, strawberry runners, and I'm sure that there's more on this list that I'm forgetting, but these were just the quick ones that I thought of. The next category of income for us is services, or like in-person teaching. So things that we do to generate income. They're not physical products. The first one is chicken butchering. We offer custom butchering for people that raise their own meat chickens, but either don't want to or don't have the equipment to butcher them themselves. We also do a couple different classes throughout the year. So I do a introductor's garden class in the springtime. We also do a meat chickens class. And in November, we do a Homestead hog harvest, which is a 2.5-day workshop. And it teaches people how to butcher pigs from pasture all the way to putting it into the freezer. It's an incredible workshop. Really amazing skill. And just a quick plug, if you are looking to learn this skill, we still have spots available for our class coming this November. I'll put a link in this description that you can go and check it out and reserve a spot. Last category of income for us is digital or online income. Some people might argue that this is not income off of our homestead, but the reality is that the majority of these incomes I could not have if we didn't have our homestead. It's hard to teach people how to butcher chickens when you aren't raising chickens to butcher. It's hard to teach people about owning a milk cow if you don't have a milk cow. There is a connection between these income streams and this homesteading lifestyle. Now, I did not ever pursue online income. In fact, this all started in July of 2022 when a friend asked me to contribute to an online homesteading conference that she was putting together. And I made a video to contribute teaching about raising meat chicken. And then in exchange for that, I had an affiliate code so that anybody who bought a ticket to this conference, I got a commission from. Shortly after that, I was asked to write an article for an online digital homesteading magazine. And since then, I've done multiple freelance writings for different publications. Just to give you an idea, freelance writing, I mean, there's so many opportunities. I could do 1 or 2 every single month if I wanted to. At this point in time, I can really only handle doing 1 each season. I make anywhere between $300 and $1,300 per writing, depending on, is it a flat rate? Is it something that is commission based? That kind of thing. After I started doing a little freelance writing, I offered my first digital download. And the first digital download that I ever put out for sale was actually a crocheted hat pattern. Since then, I've done a couple other patterns, as well as a bunch of different kind of homesteady PDF type documents. And that kind of led into an opportunity to do some paid content. In early 2023, I decided to launch what I call a mini membership area. My goal with the membership was really just to cover the fees that it took for me to have a website and an email list and an e-commerce store. So that way those things wouldn't be coming out of our regular family budget. The last main source of online income that I have right now is kind of like affiliates, but specifically for Amazon. Now, you'll hear a lot of people say that you make pennies on Amazon, and it's the truth. I don't think I've ever made more than like $100 a month on there. But if I'm making $50 to $100 a month, that's still upwards of $1,200 more a year just from that one thing. So those are all of our current income streams. Of course, there's dozens of other things that you can do around your homestead. My goal wasn't to give you an extensive list of every single option. My goal was just to show you that instead of focusing on what is the right income stream to pursue, just to embrace the idea of doing as many different things as possible. I'll also add, don't start out with trying to think of 20 things that you can generate income. Just add one thing. Sell some eggs, sell some plant starts, sell some extra tomatoes. And then after you kind of build up a consistent customer base from that, you can add another thing and another thing and another thing, little by little. The other thing that I love about having kind of this diversity of incomes is that a lot of the things that we make income from are seasonal. So I can't sell meat chickens in the wintertime. So I need to have a different type of income for the wintertime, like crocheting hats or doing freelance work to cover the costs for those months. If you're only relying on one thing, then you really have to be on top of your budgeting to make sure that you're holding yourself over to the next season, which just isn't super practical or easy to do. If you have any other questions about generating income on your homestead or diversifying incomes, or if you have a really awesome idea that might be helpful to other people of ways that you've been able to help your homestead kind of float its expenses itself, please leave them in the comments below. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me today. I'll talk to you soon.